Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the March meeting of the Naracoorte-Lucindale Council, where we acknowledge and respect our complex history, and we welcome everyone to build our future together. We are being live streamed. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed, recorded and published in accordance with the Council's live streaming and recording of public meetings policy. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of Council, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image and comments will form part of the live stream and recording. And welcome to all of you who cannot be seen on YouTube, let me say, so your dress code is okay. And may I inform you that you're here absolutely just to see what's happening at a council meeting, and you do not have the ability and will not speak at all during the meeting. So that's the rules of the chamber. So thank you very much for coming, and we will move on. Are there any declarations of interest from members? I have none recorded, so I'm assuming there are none. Councillor Goodman.
When we get to the discussion around the community chest grants, I am a member of one of the clubs and organisations.
Thanks, Councillor Goodman. Public forum, petitions and deputations. So we will start with Mr. Tony Elliston, Connected and Active Communities Officer from Limestone Coast Local Government Association, to provide an update. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Right, you good?
Yep. Welcome to Maybury. Grand Practice, Switch to Five. Hi, I'm Celeste. And I'm Rachel. We are accredited mental health social workers in Mount Gambier.
I'm the volunteer wellbeing person attached to Maybury Football and Netball Club. This small town in rural South Australia is 30 kilometres from Mount Gambier, 420 kilometres from Adelaide, has a big heart. A few years ago, the Maybury Football and Netball Club decided to take mental health and wellbeing seriously by using a dedicated wellbeing person who they can talk to during tough times. The industry recognises the importance of relationships and trust in promoting mental health and demonstrates the capacity of grassroots communities to make a significant difference.
The Switch to Play program designed by us builds on this concept and experience in Maybury provides ongoing support and guidance to wellbeing people and clubs ensuring they are not alone in their efforts. By connecting these individuals with others in similar roles across different clubs, Switch to Play creates a network of support that can help engage with the most vulnerable community members.
With around 80% of Australians involved in sport, integrating mental health and wellbeing into sporting clubs is a no-brainer and has the potential to reach a wide and diverse range of people across all age groups and regions.
Switch to Play is more than just a one training session. It's an ongoing, localised support system that recognises the unique needs and nuances of each community. By empowering trusted local individuals to provide guidance and connect people with the right services, we can create a more effective and accessible mental health support network.
Join us in supporting Switch to Play program and help create a future where every sporting club is a hub for mental health and wellbeing. Together we can make a lasting difference in the lives of individuals, families and communities across Australia.
Thank you. So that was just a video of what the Switch to Play program is. I guess a little bit of background for those who don't know. I am the Connected and Active Communities Officer with the Limestone Coast Local Government Association, funded by the Office of Rec and Sport and funded also by the 7 councils in the Limestone Coast. So part of my work job is to go out and get people active, providing support for clubs, doing as many things as we can to help people get active as possible. One of the big things, having been involved in sport for a long time, that I've seen a lot of is the fact that we've seen some absolute tragedies at sporting clubs. And not only is the tragedy the thing that, through people passing away, not only is that a horrible thing to have happen to that person, but the after effect of that on people in those clubs is enormous. And what we don't have at the moment is a dedicated program, I suppose, that supports clubs focusing on what their needs are for that. So what I was really lucky enough to be working in this space for quite a while, trying to find a program that we could roll out in clubs. And I was able to meet with Celeste and Rachel there, as you saw. We've developed a program, like I said, it's called Switch the Play, that will be rolling out across the whole region. How this will happen is basically we will come to Naracoorte and run an information session for clubs to come. It's a free session to come and be a part of, where they can understand, get an idea of what they'll be doing in the Switch the Play program. We will then be running free training sessions that the Connected Active Communities program will cover the cost of for those clubs. They will then be able to come along and we will be developing wellbeing officers for each club that want to take part in this. And I guess what we're really trying to do is we're really looking to reduce stigma surrounding mental health. We want to reach a wide demographic, particularly adult males and young men. Not that we don't feel that there's an issue with females in this space as well, but there is a lot of stigma around that for men, and we are looking to try and close that down. We want to address the highest suicide rates that are there. So what we're looking to do is basically train people up in their clubs, but then not just leave them and go and say, off you go, you know what you need to do. What we're doing there is afterwards they will be provided with a whole range of resources through a portal and a website that they can access at all times. Then we will also build a network from across our region where the mental health specialists will be working with those mental health wellbeing officers on a weekly, monthly, fortnightly basis, whatever the need is, where they will be able to build more and more understanding of what they need to be doing in this space and helping and supporting the people in their club. What we're really trying to do is make sure that people inside of clubs are feeling safe, and if they see things, they can go to this wellbeing officer and then be able to address those situations. Obviously, it's a really tricky subject that we don't like to talk about, but it is enormously prevalent. I would be shocked if you're involved in a sporting club and there are not people having issues with mental health. It's just not happening. So what this program is, we are rolling this out throughout the whole Limestone Coast. It's being done nowhere else in the state to this level, especially with the support and network and resources that will be put in behind it, that clubs and the wellbeing officers will be able to throw into. From a council perspective, we're running this on your behalf, and I really wanted to come and sort of explain to you what this is before we roll this out into your council area, and I'm more than open to taking any questions about it. I'm sure there might be some, but if not, that's fine also. So yeah, that's what the Switch the Play program is. It's one of many things that we're doing in Connected and Active Communities program, as well as we're running an RSA course for people here in a couple of weeks' time at the hockey club. So if you do know anyone that wants to get their RSA, which is an important thing, please do that. We run those courses for as low a cost as possible, mostly free of charge. And there's one more thing that I'd love to talk about if I can.
Okay.
And that's really quickly and I'll leave some paperwork here. We obviously, as part of the LCLGA, also run the Limestone Coast Regional Sporting Academy, which has been going for 8 years, which provides our young athletes in the region the opportunity to access high performance, strength and conditioning, high performance education, and also skill-based training that is above what they would get at their club. We've been doing that for over 8 years. We have 80 people in the program. We have, I think, 12 in the Naracoorte-Lucindale Council area this year as part of our program. In that time, we've been working really closely with academies across in New South Wales, and we have been included in their business case that they have put to both sides of Parliament, which would provide the regional academies of sport a $25 million funding stream for the next 10 years leading into Brisbane. We've got bipartisan support, but obviously we need to wait for that to happen, and we're hoping we might hear something tonight in the budget, but if not, we'll keep working towards that. And the Regional Academies of Sport is a parent company that is looking to also add the Limestone Coast Regional Sporting Academy to their stable, I suppose, so we're working along those sort of things. But what it would mean for us is that we would be connected extremely to the Australian Institute of Sport, the Australian Sports Commission. Our coaches in our region would have first and only access to go to conferences and have coaching mentoring at the highest level in the country, and it would also mean a boost of over $250,000 a year into our academy program for the next 10 years. So working really hard on that, and we're almost at that point where that will become a reality. So I guess the only thing is, as part of that program, we would continue to be partnered with the councils, all 7 councils, and we would be coming to you shortly with a business case around how we would love to see you continue to support our program as you have over the last 7 or 8 years.
So, Tony, can you just add about the Regional Sports Academy and how it started and the success that it's had over the last 8 years for those people here?
So it was an idea that I had when I'd seen a lot of things happen over in New South Wales, and the Office of Rec and Sport had given us an opportunity to run some high-level coaching courses that were great, but it probably didn't target the issue of our athletes in our regions are extremely talented, but they have to travel a long way to get access to the highest level of coaching and training that they need to get. So we pitched to the Limestone Coast Local Government Association and the state government around we think we need an academy. They've been going for over 30 years across the country in New South Wales and Victoria, extremely successful. So I can give you at the last Olympics, there was I think it was 7.8% of the gold medals came from a New South Wales Regional Sporting Academy, which might not seem like a massive number, but that is an enormous amount of the percentage of people coming from those sort of programs. So we built that up from 12 athletes to now we've got over 80 athletes in the program. We now partner with Hockey SA, Swimming SA, Athletics SA, the South Australian Sports Institute cycling program. We've got an AFLW program that we partner with Glenelg. We've got Tennis SA. I'm sure I'm missing one. Basketball SA as well. I should know that one. And then we have a program that is what we call our Lone Star program, where any athlete from any sport, and we've even got ballerinas and motocross riders in our program, can access the strength and conditioning and education. Our education is provided by sports psychologists and sports nutritionists who work for the Crows, Port Power and the South Australian Sports Institute. Our strength and conditioning programs are developed by a person who has worked again at the AFL level, also South Australian Sports Institute, and has spent 30 years working at the highest level in sport. So what our athletes are accessing is offered nowhere else in the state from a regional perspective, and we now have the opportunity to roll this program out into other areas, which is great. But what we're looking to do is to make sure this program doesn't go anywhere and we can continue to fund that, which is why we're looking at federal support as well as state support and local government and sponsors. The last thing I'll say is out of nothing, we've developed over 5 national champions in that time. 4 of them in the cycling program that have never, 3 of those had never been on a bike before we started our program. We went and did some talent identification, would have never had the opportunity to get on a bike if it wasn't for the academy program. We've got a girl who's playing in the AFLW at the moment. We've got another girl who's playing, 3 girls who are playing for Glenelg. We've got, every year we have over 80% of our hockey program is playing state representative hockey. So it's a program that works. It's been really successful and has provided a great opportunity for our athletes in the region.
Thank you, Tony. Are there any questions? Councillor Goodman.
Thank you for that presentation, and that sounds like really important and valuable work that's going to be done. I guess 2 questions. One is, what support do you require from council? And the second question would be that I know the Suicide Prevention Network does a lot of work in this space, and does the program, or will it, or how does it link to the work that they deliver? Yeah,
so the first one, the council, it's I guess through our work with Josie and Yana, who are my contacts, we will just ask for a bit of help promoting it and guiding us as to where we should host it and when we should host it to make sure that we get the right hit the right target. I think as far as support goes, you already support the Connected and Active Communities program amazingly, so that's where that comes in. In terms of the suicide, we're engaging with all forms. So when we looked at doing a mental health program, it wasn't going to be smart for me to go and just roll it out myself. We needed professionals in the field. So the 2 ladies that we speak to there, they are mental health professionals, and we're laying it into all levels of government and all sorts of bodies who have those skills, and we'll link them in wherever we can.
Thank you.
So just for your information, Tony is supported through the LCLGA, which we subscribe to. So that's how all that sort of comes together.
I just wanted to support the program. Athletes that are driving, and they're usually pushed to drive to Adelaide at an early age, and if you're looking at up to 2,000 kilometres a week for a 14, 15, 16-year-old, the country kids are always behind, and then they usually burn out by the time they're 16 or 17, not from the sport, but just purely from the travel and the commitment. So to have something like that in Mount Gambier, which is accessible more realistic, it is a great program.
And realistically, our athletes, so Naracoorte athletes, do their strength and conditioning and their education. They do that here in Naracoorte. They don't need to travel to go and access those. And with most of our sports, we rotate them across the region, so they're only having to travel a short space for those things. Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Item 4.2, petition. Council has received a petition. I'm sure you will read the petition. I'd ask that someone move that Council receive the petition and note it. Councillor Turner, Councillor Ireland. Any further discussion? Being none, I move the motion. All those in favour? Carried, thank you. I'd like to bring forward, if I may, the motion on notice from Councillor Downwood, which refers to this particular, not exactly this particular item, but around this particular item. So if we could bring that forward, I don't believe I need to ask the elected members for permission. Okay. No?
Yeah, I'll move that. It's moved anyway. Ezra.
Councillor Downwood moved that the Council write to state and federal health ministers and their shadow counterparts requesting that in the interest of our community all steps must be pursued to ensure all vaccines, both present and future, are tested to ensure they are free from contaminants and safe for human vaccination. A seconder, Councillor Grundy.
Yeah, Ross. I'd like to speak to it, please. I wish to acknowledge receiving the correspondence from Camilla Blanco of Port Hedland Council, where he summarised their position regarding their hope to see the best outcome for all Australians. Their motion cites the work by the Canadian molecular virologist Dr. David Spiker, who analysed Australian vials of COVID vaccines. It goes on to call for the immediate suspension of various COVID-19 vaccines, pending a thorough investigation into Dr. Spicer's discovery of excess levels of synthetic DNA contamination in these products by up to 145 times allegedly. I note the same correspondence suggests denials of these findings by the TGA. I contend that Council have a duty of care to the health and safety of their residents. At some point, questions of safety must be addressed. Have members of the public received vaccine injuries? Has there been an increase in myocarditis? Has there been an increase in pericarditis? Has there been an increase in cancers? Have people's immune systems been compromised? Could any of these matters be attributed to excess contaminants discovered by the research? I don't know the answers to these questions. However, I do know that as councillors, we have a duty to be advocating for the best outcome for all members of the community. What we must see is confidence remaining in our public institutions, including the health sector, which can be achieved by having those experts in the health sector constantly testing the science. Allow me to talk about the concept of settled science. For those who seek to use the throwaway line that science is settled, can I suggest that that phrase is really an oxymoron or a flawed hypothesis? True science is science which is not shielded from ongoing scrutiny and testing. True science embraces constant testing, verifying and being sceptical of all claims. So finally, tonight's motion seeks to have our representatives insist on the higher standards for the benefit of all Australians, and therefore I'll be supporting it.
Councillor Grundy. Mr. Downwood, Councillor Downwood, I prefer you to speak at the big, but you'll be able to close any discussion. So if we'll just, Councillor Dems.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in regard, I don't think this is the first time vaccine issues have come before Council in my time on Council, and I've argued strongly against any action by council on these fronts. I don't believe it's the purview of council to be involved in matters of public health. I think our responsibilities reside around council duties and council tasks, so I won't be supporting the motion regardless of my position on vaccines or Councillor Grundy's eloquent arguments here or there. I don't believe this is an effective use of council's time and or an effective use of council's resources.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Councillor Ross?
I was just going to go.
Councillor Ross?
Can we go to meeting procedure just to discuss it further? Because I've just got more questions. That's more than what I'd like to say.
No, I don't think so. Ask for a seconder to go out of council procedure. Councillor Maguire, all those in favour? 1, 2. Those against? Councillor Ross, do you wish to address the motion?
I was just going to ask questions in regards to what, from your position as Mayor, what has been the discussion with LCLGA, or within the LCLGA, and with other mayors that you've had discussions with in recent times? Has this been brought up? My concern is that what clout will Narra Court Lucindale Council have in regards to a letter going, in regards to this isn't necessarily our core business doing this. Okay, I acknowledge there's comments in there about vaccinations and how it's in our policy and things like that, but that's a framework that's used to try to encompass various things that regional councils may have, and it's a framework that's used where council may be employing staff to do vaccinations, but more in the outback regions where they don't necessarily have the health people up there. So while there's reference to that in there, I don't see that that's a main part of our business. While I acknowledge the anxiety of what's happened with COVID and vaccinations and people that have had illnesses that may have come from it, I just don't quite understand what clout we are going to have as Narra Court Lucindale Council, given that when they drill down into it and see that only 0.3% of our population of 8,000 have signed their name to that petition, and you look at how we are in the scheme of things. Are they going to look at us and acknowledge what we're saying? So, how many other councils have put their hand up to do this? This was first come to light back in November. So we're now in March. How many councils are actively talking about it? Because while I acknowledge the concerns, I just don't understand how we will, what we say and what we do here is going to gain any traction. I would, why isn't it going through the medical society? Why isn't it going through different parts of health? That's something. But that's my question. So it's more, okay, what have you been hearing in your world as Mayor?
Thank you, Councillor Ross. So, in my world, as you call it, there is certainly informal discussion around the letters that have been written from Derby, no, Port Hedland, just close, Port Hedland. And as far as other councils making decisions or actually, moving to this point, yes, there are some. Is it overwhelming across the countryside? I'm not sure, but I don't believe so at this point. And as far as our role, and so advocating for our community, I think it is important that we do advocate. And, it may only, okay, so it's 0.3%. So every percent matters, whether it be 0.3 or otherwise. And I am more than happy to advocate for the community in regard to this particular issue. And the cost to council to actually write a letter to the federal and state ministers and their shadows comes at a very low cost. And will it be deleterious? Will it affect the council per se? I don't believe so. I don't think we're going to be seen as some sort of pariah council within Australia or within South Australia, in my opinion, for having supported this particular motion. I don't often speak, but you've asked me, Councillor Ross, and I've actually taken it on notice from the previous CEO that perhaps I should make some commentary a little more often.
One final question. Yep. In regards to clarification of vaccinations, in the petition it says all vaccinations. So is that just COVID vaccinations or that vaccinations broadly? And that's the other thing there too, is that, what are we talking about here? Because
So in this particular case, I think what Councillor Downwood is asking, in my opinion, is quite clear. That pretty much all vaccination, these are medicines that you're going to be putting into your body via hypodermic syringe, both present and in the future, be tested to ensure that they're free of contaminants. That's how it reads to me. Councillor Goodman.
Yeah. I agree with the sentiments of Councillor Dennis, and I haven't been elected with any knowledge or background in medicine or health. I have spoken to my GP, who relies on the knowledge of the virologists, who have said that they support the TGA in what is administered to the community, and it's my understanding. I agree with Councillor Grundy about what science is. I don't think, my understanding is that the report that is being relied on here has not been peer reviewed, and so, until that is done, there's still work to be done before we go down this path. But having said that, I think that everybody should speak to their own healthcare professionals about what is best for their individual needs, and I also encourage individually people to do what is being suggested here, but I don't think it's the role of council.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire.
Thank you, Mayor. Whether we're representing a minority or a majority, we are here to represent everybody in the community. I don't think this has a budget implication, as you said, Mayor. So I think there's a lot more people than the 0.3% that are afraid to speak up or come here today. Personally, I think if you have been vaccinated, you tend to want to put your head in the sand, which is myself, because you really don't want to hear about it and you don't really want to see results. That's a personal opinion. I think as a local government, and I said this to Councillor Grundy probably about 5 years ago, the more influence that the two major parties have by corporate companies and they start making bad decisions, local government does have a responsibility to actually speak for the community, because we are closer to the communities than our state government counterparts. So I encourage local government to speak outside of what's seen as our role: roads, rubbish and rates. That's the one. So I think by moving this motion, it might be a toothless tiger, and I'm sure it will be, but it can also be an infectious one that perhaps encourages other councils to do the same. So yeah, I will be supporting the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Councillor Ireland.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I am unsure of the Narrabri Listenell Council having, or their role, or having impact on any health services. I mean, that's outside of our control entirely. I think the cost to council, as you've touched on earlier, it would be quite minimal to write some letters, and whether other councils are acting and talking about this has nothing to do with this council. I think support and advocacy for ratepayers and the community on these grounds is very strong, and I'll be voting for the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Ireland. Councillor Turner.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to speak for the motion. First, I'd like to congratulate Port Hedland Council on the work that they did in bringing this to the foreground. I'd like to thank the 30 plus people from the community that are sitting in the gallery that you can't see, and I'm sure that every one of those people, it's like 6 degrees of separation, would know someone close enough to them that may have been affected by the possible side effects from the vaccines. I want to give you a bit of a lived experience. I had to manage a business during COVID with both people who were wanting to be vaccinated and people who were wanting to not be vaccinated. And the way I managed it was to find some common ground. So I asked the people that were strongly in favour of vaccinations, why do you want to be vaccinated? And their answer was, well, I want to protect myself, my family and the whole community. I did a bit of research, and I asked the people who didn't want to be vaccinated, and I said, why do you not want to be vaccinated? And they said, we have a distrust in the science, and I want to protect myself, my family, and I want to protect the community because I think this is dangerous. the common ground was that there's two sides of the coin. It's a very divisive issue, but both parties of that, or both sides of that coin, have the same desire, which is to protect society. And to the point of Councillor Ross saying that this is a fairly benign motion, it probably doesn't do a lot, but I wonder if a bricklayer picks up one brick at a time, putting it on top, realises that eventually they're going to build a wall out of that brick. This is just one brick in that wall, and if other councillors get behind this and say, look, we want more accountability from our ministers who we elect to ensure that what is administered to us from a health medicines currently and into the future is safe, then I think that's a message that we should be strongly sending to them. So for those people considering not voting for this motion, I just want to share a thought with you. I think we've reached an inflection point or a crossroad where we've lost trust. It's demonstrated by the number of people in this room. It's demonstrated by the Port Hedland Council. You talk to people who've lived through COVID in Victoria. They've been locked out, locked out of school. They've found other forms of media. No one's watching the ABC, listening to ABC, watching Channel 9 News. There's a whole lot of sites that popped up as an alternate to Facebook and YouTube. People get their information from a different source today. And the people of tomorrow, those that want to see society vaccinated to keep society safe and believe that we need herd immunity, so we need more people, in fact everyone vaccinated if possible. If those people believe that, then realise this, that the generation that's coming through that missed 2 years of school or has been locked out, locked down and has found other sources of information, the trust is lost. They have lost trust in government, they've lost trust in the health system, they've lost trust possibly in some cases to their GP. This is a way to begin to restore trust. So those that are pro-vaccination and would like to see society vaccinated need to be supporting the fact that for the future generations that you want to see vaccinated, your kids, your grandkids or their friends, you need to ensure that the people of tomorrow are going to trust the science. And I think that's why I strongly support this, because we do need to put pressure. We are one brick, but collectively as councils around Australia we can build a wall, and that wall has to be listened to and seen. So that's my thesis around why I support the motion, and thank you for bringing it, Councillor Downward.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Would you like to wrap up?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like to thank those that have spoken in favour of this, and those that are considering not, I'd like them to consider what Councillor Turner had finished with his. But from my point, Mr. Mayor, I move the motion not just from my own personal concerns, but from the approaches made to me by community members regarding concerns from social media attention regarding vaccines released to address COVID. It's concerning the alleged worldwide rise in unexplained mortality rate, particularly across youthful communities, and the rising incidence of serious cardiovascular, motor neuron, turbo cancers, etc., and seemingly no focused inquiries by those tasked with community protection. It has been said that the percentage rise against historic mortality rates would equate to a catastrophic jumbo jet accident weekly. Pretty sure that would give rise to some fairly serious investigation. There's only been one thing that has occurred worldwide in recent years which has impacted on our community. Initially, any negative response from members of the medical fraternity, including a number of eminent virologists, were met from bureaucratic senior government ministers with enforced legal action and threats of disbarment. I congratulate the Port Hedland Council for their courage and initiative, and those councils that have chosen to support them, along with more to follow. We are often told local government is that which is closest to the people, and as such, it's incumbent on us to raise those concerns with the tiers of government above us. I would also add that there have been at least 6 independent studies of the COVID vaccines, all showing up to 145 times the allowable limit of contaminants. These studies have occurred in Canada, Germany, United States and France. While the TGA has refuted these studies, they have created more concerns than answers, as their released findings allegedly cannot be cross-checked due to heavy redaction of the results. Sadly, due to the entire process, trust in our medical system has been seriously eroded. To begin to restore faith, an open, independent investigation which excludes any laboratories or individual with demonstrable links to Big Pharma, and even the TGA has received $45 million from Pfizer since 2019 for research grants. This investigation must be undertaken. For whatever reason, the two tiers of government above us have been reticent in conducting an open investigation. It is incumbent on us to make this request on behalf of our community. They seek your support. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Downwood. There being no further, I put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you.
I call a division, please, just so we have the name.
A division's been called. All those in favour of the motion, please stand. Councillor Maguire, Turner, Grundy, Downwood, Ireland and Rayner. Those against the motion, you may remain seated. Councillors Dennis, Ross and Goodman. Councillor Crosling's an apology. The motion's carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 5, confirmation of the council minutes. Would someone care to move the minutes of the 25th of February? Thank you, Councillor Dennis. A seconder, please. Councillor Goodman. All those in favour? Carried. Yeah. I think that's the most people I've ever seen in our gallery. There may have been more at other times, but you know, it is fantastic to see you have been coming along over the last 3 months, in fact, some of you, and to come along, and Councillor Downwood has raised the issue and brought it to our attention. So thank you very much for coming this evening, and you are most welcome. You are most welcome to sit here and go through the rest of the meeting. It can be absolutely an entertainment, and you can see it firsthand, and then you can go and you know, talk to your fellow workers and tell them what a great afternoon it was. So, and you can leave at any time. So, thank you very much for coming. Oh, and you must leave that way by the back door. Yeah. That's okay. That one carried, did we? Okay, cool. Item 6, matters laid on the table from the previous meeting. There being none. Item 7 is the Mayor's report. In my haste, Mr. Willsmore, I neglected, but gladly, your operations manager added in the support of council, and you know, I'm incredibly grateful, Daniel, for you picking up the phone on whatever day that was and answering the call. So thank you very much, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Councillor Dennis.
Not so much a question as a vote of thanks and support to Councillor Turner and the Mayor on the work in recruiting the new CEO. I've noticed you've noted that in your report. I know we're all very keenly anticipating the start of this tenure of the new CEO next week, and I would like to commend both the Mayor and Councillor Turner for their work and the support that Rebecca has provided us in recruiting the new CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis, and it's been fun, and it's been insightful, and it's been you know, it's been an education for us all, and we're all looking forward to the results. Absolutely. A seconder for mine was Councillor Dennis. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Elected members report. I see Councillor Downwood has provided a report. Thank you, Councillor Downwood. Item 9, Chief Executive's report. Mr. McCroskey.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Firstly, just a quick update. The Regional Airports program, Council was fortunate enough to receive $106,000, $767 to reseal and line mark the Narracka Aerodrome. That will assist in regards to RFDS support and emergency services such as the CFS, so a good outcome there. You may recall back in November we gave in principle support in regard to the electoral representation review. We have since closed the consultation on that, and as per the report, we received 3 submissions back through the community consultation. All three were clearly in support of the current structure with 10 elected members and 1 mayor. So based on that, the first recommendation there that we remain status quo and support that recommendation. Mayor Ross.
Thank you, Mr McCroskey. Would someone like to move that the council's decision? Thank you, Councillor Guzman. Councillor Grundy. I didn't think there'd be any further discussion, and we've done a lot of around that. Thank you very much. All those in favour? Carried. Mr McCroskey.
And just the second one there, the Regional Development Australia Limestone Coast. I had the opportunity to meet Lauren Oxlade, who's the Chief Executive Officer for Limestone Coast RDA, who would like to continue in advocating for the Limestone Coast. She's approached Council in regards to a service level agreement for a 2-year term, which is $16,000, which is consistent for what previous years, plus additional CPI for the second year. So just that one for consideration as well as part of next year's budget and the following year.
Question, Mayor Ross.
Mayor Ross.
Is there any reason why this can't be annualised so that it can be reviewed on an ongoing basis, just like we had that budget discussion here the other day when it came to any third parties who were essentially the recipients of ratepayers' money?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. Can be. It'll be a decision of the elected member body, so if you move in that direction, I'm sure the Limestone Coast RDA would be appreciative of that also.
Okay, just add a little bit more context to your question, Councillor Grundy, and that is that in the past, the RDA have been funded out of LCLGA. So in fact, the LCLGA is is starting to rebirth itself, so to speak, and it was suggested that that councils actually, or RDA, come to councils seeking the money on an annual basis. So instead of the money going into LCLGA and then out to the RDA, it's now direct funding. So in fact, you are now seeing that, and you may not have been aware of it in the past. So there we are. Councillor Goodman.
I'd like to move and speak to the motion, please.
I'd
like to move and speak to the motion.
Of course you are.
I think that we get a lot of benefit from the RDA, and I think over the last 12 months we've seen a lot of good communication about what they offer the region, but our council area in particular. I note Councillor Grundy's suggestion that it becomes part of the annual budget process. I think, though, it is useful to have them write and request annually, because it's another opportunity for us to hear about what they have done in the last 12 months and also what is happening in the future. A 2-year funding agreement does sound reasonable, though, because it also gives them some confidence and ability to forward plan and employ staff in an ongoing way. So I'm very comfortable that this be the approach.
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. Councillor Grundy.
Question, Councillor Ross. If this is lost, can I put up another recommendation, another motion which sets out that it be annualised?
Well, you're preempting. Let us wait. Councillor Turner.
I'll second the motion and speak to it. I think going forward, the LCLGA is in the process of rebuilding, which means it's going to have to crash before it can take off again. I think the RDA is probably going to become more significant in the short term in the coming years as a central body that reports to state and federal government on behalf of councils. And I think it's a very small organisation with a small budget and limited resources to maybe waste a lot of time coming cap in hand to the 7 councils every year begging for the $16,000. I think the idea of a 2-year was to give some certainty around the budgeting process, but it was just to eliminate wasted time. Not that it's just a rubber stamp, but to eliminate having to do the same process yearly, which can be it's a resource. It takes up time in the RDA, so I'm supportive of the 2 years on the basis that declaring that I'm a non-paid pro bono board member of the RDA, and I've been on it for a number of years. I think it's in a very good space, very good leadership under Lauren, and it has been doing some significant work in the Limestone Coast, but I think going forward it's probably going to pick up some of that role as being the caveat or the conversation piece or organisation between state and federal and local government. I support it.
Okay, Councillor Turner.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mayor Ross. From my understanding and speaking with Lauren, she would be more than rapt to have a 2-year service agreement, and also gives them some surety going forward. Also gives council the opportunity to recalibrate after that 2 years whether things need to be changed. So I think a 2-year term is probably comfortable for both parties at this stage.
Thank you. Councillor
Thank
Grundy.
you. I'm not disputing anything that's been said. I just think it's a governance issue, and that is that we should have the right as councillors to review the expenditure annually.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. I'm sure we will, after 2 years, we'll be able to review it, and that question will arise. Is there any further discussion? There being none, I put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item 10, key projects. Mr Willsmore.
Thank you. It's in the report, but I just wanted to acknowledge the residents of Premier Drive. There's fairly large disruption to the way they go about their daily lives while the contractor's undertaking the works, but stage 1's up to level and stage 2's being brought back to level. So just wanted to acknowledge the residents of Premier Drive and happy to take questions on the report.
Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. The new Flowcon truck looks like a tremendous piece of kit. Just wondering, I know that the report refers to what it's capable of, but further to that, will that enable us to carry out more projects, more major projects than what we've been doing so far? And by that I mean, a lot of stuff being contracted, a lot of jobs being contracted out.
Yes, it will allow us to carry out some more maintenance activities, some of your larger capital reseals and the like. Still more efficient to contract that out, but this will certainly allow us to tidy up some of the maintenance works to our unsealed roads, and then the Flowcon unit has the opportunity for us to top up our shoulders as well, so it's used for unsealed road maintenance as well.
Councillor Goodman.
Just further to the words of Mr Willsmore, it's a bad spot there. While attending the field days representing council on Friday and Saturday, we had some residents who were impacted by the work on Premier Drive come through for a chat, and they're very appreciative of the work, and they were complimentary about the processes being put in place, understanding that will always be a disruption, but that it's being done as smoothly as possible.
Excellent. If you would pass all of that on, Mr Willsmore. Any further questions of Mr Willsmore? Item 11, finance.
No further detail regarding the report, but I will just give you an update on last month's report regarding the local roads and community infrastructure program. So I received approval to the amended work schedule today. What we did find was the application for the chair upgrade for the town hall got rejected as it's a mobile asset rather than a fixed asset. So I changed it to be infrastructure at Market Square Playgrounds with bin surrounds and a veranda over the back door access of the town hall. Timings of the essence, because we've only got till 30th of June to get these projects completed, and both of those projects were scheduled for next financial year. So like the town hall chairs, they've just been brought back a year. So that's all been approved, and it's now up to Paul and Daniel to get the work done within 12 weeks. So, happy to take it.
Nice handball. Are there any questions of Mrs Edmonds? Being none, we have a recommendation. Am I at the right spot? 11.2. 11.2.
Thank you, Maros. So yes, you're all very familiar with Community Chest by now. We're up to round 2 of 24-25. As you're aware, there was correspondence received from the Naracoorte Lucindale Band / Naracoorte Municipal Band. I forwarded you the detail of their application for better perspective. Hopefully you've all had a chance to look at that one. We didn't recommend them in this round, but happy for further discussion. I did let Sarah know that there would be further discussion at the meeting as to whether you were supportive of their application for contribution towards having their constitution upgraded.
Thank you, Mrs Edmonds. Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. On the face of it, their request looked reasonable to me, unless there's some reason why it was not reasonable, some governance issue or something like that.
It was mainly as per, yeah.
So I don't know how that could be incorporated if all councillors are in favour of the band's application.
Perhaps we could adjourn meeting procedure, Councillor Ross, for a brief discussion, and I'll be sharp on the time. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Councillor Goodman.
I am a member of the Naracoorte Town Band, so I won't move the inclusion of this into the funding. I'll leave that for others. But for context, I think the email provided by Mrs Edmonds suggested that we use it weekly. We use it about 20 times per year. I think and I think it is good for buildings to be used in that way. I think also there was no eligibility requirement within the community chest grant that you could be excluded if you were using other facilities of council. So I just would put that out there. I think another point would be that as part of the budget submission to utilise the town hall, I think the town band has made it clear that they would be happy to be utilised by council for council events such as playing the hymns at Anzac Day and the anthem and things like that. So I would suggest that it is also in the community's interest to have a functioning town band that could be utilised in that way.
Councillor Turner.
That helps me immensely. I mean, I thought it was once a week. We put a price on that of $5,000 a year for the town hall, and I thought to myself, many organisations could, maybe get some pro bono work to get their constitution done, and they could have asked an accountant or a lawyer or someone to look at it. So I thought it was a bit unjust to offset the $5,000 for weekly and do the constitution. So I was going to vote against adding that in there. But your content then says don't use it 20 times a year, which brings that 5,000 value down significantly. And the other comment around that they do, I'll call it community work in terms of playing music for significant events, makes me think I'm sort of happy to vote in favour of adding it.
Sure.
And I wasn't before.
Yep. Councillor Dennis.
I think in cohort with the cultural sort of hubs of a community, the town band is one of those, like the art gallery, the library, the sporting clubs, other functions. I think, we used to have a saying that if a town didn't have a pub and a sporting club and a town hall, it wouldn't survive. But I think the town band is one of those institutions that signifies the health of a community, and I'll be supportive of the submission.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. They'll be excited by that.
I was just going to say, that the band's been around for a heck of a long time. They might not be as visible nowadays as what they may have been in the past. Doesn't mean that they won't be again. So I believe that that the community can certainly support them. So I'll be.
So at this juncture, if we're to consider that the in-kind would be more like 2,500 in-kind, and what was the ask?
So it was originally communicated that the practices were weekly. So after I sent the email, I was corrected. And they also have access to storage of the whole of that meeting room, as well as extra storage space as well. So if you want to put a dollar figure on that, there'd be a small amount of storage required as well, and the use of the meeting space. So yes, perhaps you could look at it more around the $3,500 mark.
If I could just add really quickly
You might.
as well. Even though at the moment the band is only rehearsing fortnightly, we have a standing booking for the upstairs meeting room every Monday night for an hour and a half. So, and we always try to, make sure that happens and it's available. The only time it's not available is if we get a paid booking for the upstairs meeting room from an outside party.
And then we can have the discussion with the band. What was the ask for the constitution?
So the suggestion from management would be 50%. Sally Closon's account was about $2,800. So we suggested just under $1,500 in our initial discussions. And that was where the recommendation then was to not support it. So your call, you want to support 100%, go for it. You want to support 50%.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Edmonds, I think we'll go. Do you wish to?
Just one clarification, Mrs. Collins. So you're saying that it's if someone rings up and they're not aware of the band, you'll go to the band and ask whether it's available?
No, if it's a paid booking, a fully paid booking for that space, we contact the band and let them know that that space has been booked out.
Yep. Okay, cool.
And they've always been more than happy with that. It doesn't happen a lot in the evenings on a Monday night, so it's, it works well.
You don't want to having it restricting our use, that's all.
No.
That's cool.
We're relatively clear. I'd like to move back to meeting procedure. All those in favour? Thank you. An amendment, I imagine. Is that what we're looking for? Councillor Grundy.
I'd like to move an amendment which reflects the discussion with the help of your wording and Mrs. Collins's wording, perhaps.
So with the leave of the meeting, you could just
Change
the recommendation. You could just change the recommendation.
Yeah, so we'll just change the okay, so just change the recommendation. The town ban, the Narra Court town ban, $1,400.
That's 50%.
Did you want to go with the, I think it was 1,472 or something like that?
Let's go with $1,400. And given that, make an adjustment in the in-kind. Wonderful, thank you very much. Would someone like to second that? Councillor Dennis, do you wish to speak? No. There being no further discussion, all those in favour of the distribution, and no doubt the number 17036 will change. Thank you very much. Carried. Item 12, minutes and recommendations from council committees. 12.1, Strat Plan, recommendation, the minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of March. Councillor Maguire. Seconder, please. Councillor Dennis. All those in favour? Carried, thank you very much. Recommendation, council include installation of steps and an access ramp for consideration within the budget at the pool at the lake. Someone like to move to that effect? Councillor Downwood. Councillor Turner. All those in favour? Carried. A recommendation, the tree located at 36 Smith Street is removed at the council's expense. Someone like to move to that effect? Councillor Grundy, seconded Councillor Turner. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Next item is that of street lighting audits are only undertaken on urban link roads. Councillor Ireland.
May I speak about this?
You may.
Ross, please. I did actually move this motion at the SAT meeting level, and looking back on the agenda, that thanks to Mr. Willsmore for all the information he gave us on the night, I do believe that we actually overlooked the fact there was a question prior to this that we never really addressed. The council has endorsed with the Limestone Coast Regional Health and Wellbeing Plan about some of this direction. And Mr. Willsmore, in his first part of his here, he says that this is a rather broad action and has significant financial implications. And further down, he says, do elected members still wish for this action to be achieved, following on from this Limestone Coast Health and Wellbeing Plan? Now, we have only trimmed it back to, I think, 7 roads, wasn't it, Mr. Wilson? So it'll be approximately, $21,000 we could spend just on the audit. But I think at this point, I think we need to have some more discussion about just how far this may go and the implication financially to the council. I'd just like to see this motion just put to one side at this point so we can have discussion, perhaps at another SAP meeting or whenever it's appropriate, please.
I ask that...
No, someone just waved.
Okay. Mr. Councillor Turner.
I've asked if what Mr. Willsmore thought is around this. You have much more knowledge than us, and I don't want to just sort of be kicking something down the road sometimes we're accused of, but also don't want us to be setting up to waste money. So have you got a thought around this that might help us? Mr. Willsmore?
I'm unclear on what further discussion Councillor Ireland wishes to have. We've brought it back to, as per the report, we brought it back to Council to seek clarity on if this direction wants to proceed. It has been reduced significantly from 100 odd roads to 7. I've provided a summary of the customer requests we've received about street lighting, which isn't a lot over a number of years, so quite a minor percentage. So we don't get a lot of requests about street lighting from the residents. I was only in there because that's what's been endorsed in the Health and Wellbeing Plan. So happy to take further direction if we want to take it back to SAP, but we just need what further information wants to be discussed so I can bring it back in a formal report.
I was wondering, Mr. Willsmore, in your report, that you pretty much specifically asked the question, does council wish to proceed? And that was really stuck. I saw that quite clearly. That was a real question. Do we wish to proceed? And the council decided that they were given two options. One was to do link roads and one was to do collector roads, and they decided to do link roads. I'm not quite sure whether they were, really picked that this was, there was an option not to do anything in real terms. You didn't have to do anything. And so I wonder whether that's the question that Councillor Ireland, would like to address further. That was your real question before you put the recommendation. You would agree?
Yeah, agreed. Yep, it was part of the report. So.
Yep. Discussion. Councillor Goodman.
Yes, I think that with the benefit of some time and hindsight, I'd appreciate a further discussion around this and the future implications of that. I guess I remember asking at the time some questions about whether or not this was mandated, whether this was something council had to do, and from my understanding it isn't. I would also be interested in understanding further if there's some internal audits that we can undertake that might provide some more information about where and how we go about thinking about lighting in the future, or whether it's only through the health and wellbeing plan that we should be considering.
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. With your permission, can we withdraw, or are we carrying on with the recommendation? Councillor Dennis, if you could stand.
The elected member withdraws the move. There is no motion. It's only written on the paper. That's my understanding. If the mover removes the moving, it's not a motion until it's moved and seconded and passed.
Okay.
I never moved it.
No, you have not moved it. I ask for a mover. There being none, we'll move to the next item, which is the avenue of trees along Peak Crescent at Naracoorte are trimmed only. Councillor Dennis.
Move the motion as written.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Councillor Maguire. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. And the last recommendation is the trees adjacent 13 Macleay are removed at council's expense and replaced with more appropriate species. Would someone like to move that to that effect? Councillor Maguire. I do have a second to Councillor Ireland. Thank you. All those in favour of the motion? Motion's carried. Thank you. Item 13, reports for decision. Election.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. With the pending federal election, ALGA, Australian Local Government Association, has written to Narrabri Council requesting support for their campaign in regards to putting our communities first. So regardless, this is not a political campaign on one side or the other, it's a neutral position to align with the Australian Limestone Coast Association. As you can see there's a number of advocacy lines that the ALGA's chasing, housing, community infrastructure and safer roads, much of what's been discussed at council levels here. So as per the recommendation, we suggest that we support the advocacy program and write to federal members.
Thank you. I was at my first ALGA last year, and the Australian Local Government Association worked quite diligently in trying to get more money from the federal government, and it is incredibly difficult. And so I absolutely would encourage you to support this motion for at least $2.5 billion worth of extra funding that would flow through to local government, which can actually get the work, and that sort of money would actually drive regional Australia far better than that money being tried to be spent by the federal government. I ask someone to move that. Councillor Maguire, seconder. Would you like to speak to it, Councillor Maguire?
No, I fully support the motion.
I think I have Councillor Goodman. Seconder.
Yes, and speak if I may. Yep. I'm obviously supportive of the motion. I guess I heard you say there that this will drive regional or rural Australia forward. From what I can see at the moment, there's no eligibility or guidelines about how that would be split amongst councils, and as always, everything, the devil is in the detail. At this stage, I guess we don't have any further information about what benefit that might actually yield our council, but it can never be bad to have more money in the mix. But I suppose I just felt the need to put it out there that what actually flows through down to us might still be minimal, right?
I mean, we could be going to an incumbent government, but we're actually going to an election. So, this is out there, and we'll wait and see. The election has yet to be called, as you'll be aware. Further discussion? Being none. All those in move and second? Yes, all those in favour? Carried, thank you. Operations report. Have you anything to add, Mr Willsmore? Thank you. Any questions of Mr Willsmore? Councillor Grundy.
We're on 14.2 at this stage?
No.
Okay.
14.2.
Mayor Ross referred to 14.
Okay.
14.2.
14.2.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Just a quick update to my report. We received confirmation today that the regional plan has gone out for public consultation. There is planned to have elected members sessions early April, but we're waiting for confirmation on that, and it sounds, unfortunately, it'll be via Teams with the other 7 regional councils. I was hoping to have them in person, but at this stage, that's how they've set up their structure for the consultation process. Council will be able to provide written response to that consultation on the regional plan moving forward. It's a 12-week consultation period. It finishes on the 17th of June.
Thank you, Mr McCroskey. That's come forward a little, quite a few months. Excellent. And Councillor Goodman.
I think I detected there, Mr McCroskey, that you are also disappointed that it will be on Teams and not in person. I think this work is incredibly important to how we shape our district going forward, and it's been a long piece of work, and from my involvement at council level, this is the first time we've had opportunity to hear from or have input into the process as elected members. Would it be possible to present that back to the organisers, that our strong preference, assuming there's support from the chamber, would be to have that in person so that we can get the information direct and feedback in?
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. I'm happy to respond and request a meeting in person, but given they've done previous regional plans all over South Australia and this is their current consultation process, I'm not too sure how we'll go, but I'm happy to ask the question.
When they started their original, it was all in person. We seem to have gone somewhere else. Councillor Jones?
Show of hands to say we support the motion, not the motion, the notion.
The notion. Excellent. I'm sure Mr. McCroskey will will follow that up. Thank you. I have Councillor Grundy.
Look, after reading the report, there's obviously a lot of layers there that I'm not familiar with necessarily, but I guess it looked like there might have been more additional inspections taking place, maybe, and I'm talking about the recommendation and what it talks about. And I suppose if Mr. McCroskey could give us a bit of an overview on just how things would change from the status quo.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. Yes, there is a recommendation there for the building and swimming pools policy. That is a legislative requirement under the PDI Act. The legislative requirements are set up there, and there's the bare minimum inspections that council must undertake. Now, that's up to the council's discretion whether they want to dial up or dial down those inspections subject to the minimum threshold of the state government, but come with that obviously the availability. So if we set the benchmark too high and we're failing to meet them, then we're not meeting our policy. So at this stage, that's the bare minimum, but I always go above and beyond as much as I can, subject to time and availability.
So the question Councillor Grundy is asking, have you incorporated more inspections or we're just on the minimum?
No, so I've left it at the bare minimum, and like I said, I always intend to do as many as I can where possible. So I've got to lodge every inspection back through the portal so they can actually see how many inspections I undertake subject to the notification of inspections that I receive from the applicant or the developer at the time. So if I'm not notified, then I'm unable to obviously undertake that inspection. So I can't essentially hit 100% of the inspections because I don't always get notified by the applicant or the developer.
Oh, that's all very good, thank you. I guess really the nub of my question is how do you think your day-to-day role will alter under the new arrangements?
There's no new arrangement, that's an existing policy, it's just been reviewed, so it's still the current status as what has been for the last 4 years since the policy was endorsed. So to answer that question, am I meeting all of them? Above other councils, I'm probably slightly above, but there's always other better ones out there, no doubt.
Touche. Councillor Goodman?
I suppose my way of thinking about that is understand that every time you do an inspection, there's something else that you're not doing or it's additional cost, and that this policy is the bare minimum. Do you think that on cost benefit, it would be beneficial to us to have a higher standard than what is put there, or do you think that that is broadly sufficient for the kind of activities and developments that we have going on?
Councillor Goodman, so the state government set, like I said, that bare minimum requirement, and that's what they're comfortable with in regards to the number of inspection policies. I do focus on particular areas in regards to risk, probably more so. The hay shed or farm shed out in the middle of nowhere where there has minimal to no occupancies obviously doesn't take a precedence. So to hedge my bets in regards to time and availability, I'd focus on the high risk areas such as a commercial fit out for fire safety requirements above and beyond a hay shed at the back of Burke scenario.
Or even closer. Closer.
I'm happy to carry Burke too.
So to clarify, broadly you're comfortable with that as a benchmark plus what you're able to add in? Yeah, thank you.
A mover, please. Councillor Dennis, Councillor Ross second. Any further discussion? All those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 14.3, Engagement and Community Report. Mrs. Collins, do you have anything to add to your report?
No, nothing further. Thank you, Mayor Ross.
Any questions? Councillor Ireland.
Ms. Collins, my apologies, I could have asked you this during the week, but the time is now. As far as the spend map bulletin, we've got 6.4 million for resident local spend and 6.28 million close behind for the visitor local spend. That's nearly $200,000 a day visitors are spending here. is it possible, is there a breakdown of this so we can get an idea of where this money is being spent, please? Like, is it service stations, is it large employers that are employing perhaps even, or I need to have a breakdown so I know what we're looking at. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question. It's very interesting, that SpendMap data, isn't it? And it only breaks down the spending into set categories such as accommodation, dining, groceries, those sort of things. It can't break it down any further because it will identify actual businesses that are involved, and so for confidentiality reasons they can't break it down anymore. But there is the capability for us to generate reports that highlight the spending in the different areas, and I can certainly do that moving forward if you'd like us to. It's quite interesting.
Oh, well, the main question I had about that was whether we've got large employers that maybe there are head offices outside of our area that are paying their employees. Would that possibly account for some of this?
No.
Because $200,000 a day is like a huge amount of money. I mean, our large service station down here, for instance, that's just trying to work out where it's all coming from.
Yeah, so the data is only based on bank transaction data.
Okay.
So what it does is actually, it demonstrates trends, but if we were to have an event, for example, I believe it's possible to drill down and look at an event to see what economic impact
it brings
correct
to our area.
that had it. So you can actually do that for specific things. I understand.
For more money.
Yes.
It costs more.
Yes, everything costs more.
Yes, correct.
Councillor Turner.
Thanks, Ross. I'd like to see, if possible, we could have that as a separate document. So I wanted to share that within my organisation, and I can't just go and send the whole PDF of the council minutes. So I think that we've got a report with lots of detail, and I don't think we're getting enough eyes on it. So if we could just quarterly or something like that.
Absolutely. Yep.
I would think as a separate PDF would be good, and any detail that you could add to it or layer a little bit on a quarterly report.
Yep.
I think it would be significant, and then we get the business group to they've got an email list of X number of people, get it sent to them so that the town starts to get an idea that hey, there is $200,000 spent, it's a lot of money. So I think.
No, thank you, and. You might have missed it, which is easy enough to do because there's a lot of information on our website. But we have set up a page on our website when we took up the SpendMap subscription, and it's a page called Quarterly Economic Snapshots, which is provided by SpendMap, and we have let the Business Association know that information is there and is updated quarterly. But I can certainly elaborate on it more in our reports because I think it's very useful information.
The point was, thanks for that, was that sometimes it's easier to forward something and someone has to read it rather than say, oh, there's a website link to get onto.
Absolutely.
Otherwise you've got a copy website link.
Yep.
If I'm going to forward something to someone and I want them to take notice, I'll usually cut and paste the headline and to make it interesting that they want to click on it, the link. So I think a separate file probably encourage more people to read it and share it. Share it, yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins. Item 15. There isn't anything. Item 16. Question with notice from Councillor Grundy. And you're happy with the response, Councillor Grundy?
Yes, Mayor Ross, I'm completely happy with that response. To provide some context, the RTA newsletter, I think, where the Naracoorte Lucenau Council report featured, it talked about, and it was muddling the two issues in my opinion, grammatically, the issues of permitted stubble burning and permitted public, any kind of burning. So that was the nature of the question, particularly given last year. I think last year from memory it could have been that we weren't able to burn stubbles until I'm thinking mid-April.
No, it was about 2 or 3 weeks after.
Early April.
Yeah.
Yep. So to answer your question, I'm satisfied with that, and it's a great result in that this year we can be getting on with it pronto.
Correct. Grundy, I note that you were actually activated one today.
Yesterday, I hope it's not still burning.
Brilliant. Well, it is from an expiation perspective.
Item 17.1 has been dealt with. 17.2, Councillor Goodman. Councillor Goodman.
I'd like to move and speak to it.
Move it.
Pardon?
You're moving that?
Yes, thank you. It's a reasonably straightforward motion, but I think that it is important that we do hear from all sides in regard to the mining exploration leases and potential, I guess it's the activation of the mining lease itself that may occur through AR3. It was really useful and insightful to hear from the landholders last year. There's obviously a lot of concern and interest around this in the community, and we are, as councillors, receiving requests for support or to support for more information on this, and I think it is in our interest to be informed. So I'd like to hear directly from AR3 about the process that they're undertaking, how they're viewing what that looks like, and how they are interacting with landholders and the community on this, and equally from the regulating body, which is the Department for Energy and Mining, to understand better the regulations and the standards that they will need to meet to proceed and move forward with the project, so that we can feel comfortable or not with the robustness of the hoops, I suppose, and standards that AR3 would need to meet to proceed with the project. So that's why I am asking that we receive briefings from them. I'd like to clarify that the briefing that we don't have to hear from both of them on the same night if that's not appropriate, but I'd like to.
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. Yes, Mr. McCroskey.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Councillor Goodman, today at 10 to 4, we received an email from AR3. We were trying to organise a briefing session or a information session from AR3 early April. Unfortunately, they have staff on leave, so therefore it won't be till the end of April at the earliest before we can provide that information to the elected members.
Thank you.
We'll continue to work on it.
Thank you, Mr. McCroskey. Have you been in touch with their department at all?
No, not yet.
Cool.
Got to
That's great.
Yeah,
No worries. Item 18. Oh, Angus, we'll move on. Have we got a seconder?
Yes.
Councillor Downwood. Any further discussion?
I'll just add to that, Mr. Mayor, that Mr. McCroskey and I both attended the last meeting of that group, which was wound up that night. And that night they voiced their intention to attend council and present to us, and also that they are in the throes of commencing a community consultative committee, which they will be looking for a member from council to be on that committee, along with one from Wattle Range and a number of others from around the place. So it's well and truly in their interest to come and speak with us, or intention, I should say, to come and speak with us.
Thank you, Councillor Downwood. Should we have a discussion? Should I add?
So we're in the process.
Yep. Yeah, so actually, yeah, that's right. We're in the process of, I think when was the first meeting scheduled?
This Friday.
This Friday? Yeah. And you'll be there?
Sorry, the first meeting of what was that?
Well, it's actually not a meeting at all, is it?
No, they need to set up their presiding member for their community consultative committee, and part of that stakeholder is one representative from the council, which I'll attend, and more than likely hand over to Kelly when she arrives as of the 31st of March.
We have a motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. We will move on to item 18, questions without notice. There aren't any. 19, motions without notice. There aren't any. Item 20, matters the CEO recommends to be considered in confidence. Item 20.1, the LCLGA future proofing.